Last time on Building the Moon House.
I don't know what this means. Dry hole.
Either we start over in a new location or we keep drilling, once again, with no guarantee of finding anything. I felt as helpless as a bird in a windstorm. Everything I'd worked for now seemed like it was hanging by a thread and completely beyond my control. All I could do now was watch and wait.
Oh my God, I'm dying. Is this actual water? I mean, maybe it is. Oh, wow. There we go. I don't believe it.
And logically, you'd think that hitting water would be the finish line. But it wasn't. Suddenly, we were getting some bore wall collapses near the bottom, right in the water zones. And we had no idea this was just the start of a brand new set of challenges, because the next step was dropping the bore liner in. Slow and steady was the game here, but then suddenly, with 300 feet of casing already in the ground.
I don't believe it. Well, there's been a development. You can see they're pulling out the casings.
We have a bunch of big rocks coming in, caving in on us. We blessed it. We tried to over drill it by a few feet and try to get casing in. Unfortunately, the casing stopped because we have all the collapse. We're going to go back in with a little bit bigger bit tomorrow. We're going to switch over to a bentonite mud. But the only thing that can really screw us up here is if we need water to make the mud stabilize the hull. So hopefully we can do it with 1 or 2 tankers. We tried to get the casing to go, didn't work.
Day 2 dawned with a soft light and quiet hope spilling over the hills. I drove with the windows open, as though I might be able to breathe in new fortunes for the day. Clear skies, crisp air. It felt like the land might actually relent today. But I didn't want to get my hopes up too high. If there's anything day 1 taught me, it's that hope can be a fragile thing around here.
I arrived at around 6:45, 7 a.m., something like that. And these dudes are already here working on getting this hole cleaned up. So what they had to do was take the digger and come back over here from about here to there, where they had filled in yesterday because we thought we might be done, and had to open it back up because we're going to drill another 20 feet.
Augie couldn't be on site today, but his brother Dominic and the team were already hard at work, keeping things moving forward.
The reason we're going to drill another 20 feet is because the casing yesterday wouldn't go all the way in the hole. And that means there's some debris falling from the bore walls into the bottom, blocking the casing from going all the way in. And so they have to go in with the drill anyway to clear that out.
But let me back up a second.
One of the options that was presented to me was, hey, we've already hit water at 360, but just to hedge your bets for the future, it might be a good idea to keep going for a little bit, see if we can find the bottom. Like a layer of clay that's impermeable that this water is sitting on top of, or a layer of hard granite that the water is sitting on that it can't percolate into. And if we can find the bottom, we'll know that we have all the water available from this particular well. If we don't hit bottom, we'll just have an extra 20 feet of percolation into the well. I chose to spend a little extra money, but I think it'll make a big difference in the long term. That is a 20-foot length of pipe that will take the well from 360 feet to 380 feet. And we'll stop at 380 unless we're forced to stop sooner by clay or hard granite or the bottom of the water table.
With all the challenges we'd hit up to this point, I thought we'd finally put the worst behind us. It seemed like just a matter of time before we'd get that casing in and wrap this thing up today. Heck, the guys were already hard at work, running the bigger bit to break up debris at the bottom of the borehole. Everything seemed under control, and I thought to myself, what could possibly go wrong? Well, as it turns out, plenty. But all would not be revealed this early in the morning. Nope, it wouldn't be until later in the day that things really got going in what was starting to become typical Casaluna form.
Well, we've got a lot more team on site suddenly arriving, and looks like they're about to finish up with the drill. So by now it's probably 380 feet because the skid steer has come to grab the casing again. Once the casing goes in, the gravel pack goes in, and I think the Valley Water guys, I thought they were here.
I've been called a lot of things in this life, but my favorite? Pathologically optimistic. I'm not even sure if that was a compliment or an insult, but sticking to my happy guns has made me a very patient person, which is good because that patience, it was about to be tested again. What I hadn't noticed was that drilling 20 feet further into the ground hadn't actually solved the collapsing problem. And I was shocked to see just how much we'd ramped up the foam and water pumping to try and clear the problems. And more shocked still when I realized they had tried to case the well a second time and they were still blocked at the true bottom. And so, out came the casing a second time.
What's happening with the casing? We had to pull out casing yesterday. About what depth?
Yesterday it stopped at about 322. Today it stopped at 335.
Oh, it stopped again.
Yeah.
Did you guys? So my understanding was you guys reamed out the hole with a slightly bigger bit. Is that right?
Yesterday we drilled with a 7.5. Today we opened it to 8.75.
So did we actually drill another 20 feet today then?
No, you actually drilled all the way to 400.
400?
Correct.
Oh, I asked for 380.
Yeah.
Do I have to pay for 400?
No, we drilled extra 20 feet, banking on 20 feet of cave-in, not 60 feet of cave-in.
Oh, wow. That's a lot then.
I mean, I brought all this stuff here to be able to drill, switch up to the mud rotary, which would pretty much guarantee casing going all the way to 380.
Yeah.
However, that does add a day or two to the process. He is going to try it one more time now in the air, get back to 400 again. If it still doesn't go, then we'll have to switch over to mud rotary.
So the third attempt? Well, by this point, the word routine doesn't even begin to cover it. But if you're wondering if anything's different this time, there was one thing: the intensity. We used so much water and foam that it came blasting out in a way that felt like it had a real chance at flushing out that bore.
So all of that foam halfway down the mountain down that way was to try and unblock the blockage. There's about 60 feet of collapsed drill bore at the bottom of this thing, which they say is a lot.
But I couldn't handle the pressure, so in the chaos, I left that drilling in good hands to change gears a little bit and find out what some of the guys thought about this whole situation.
I went back down, trying to figure out the hole.
Yeah.
Thought it was going to be good. It looked good. Pulled all the pipes out. Started going down with our casing. And our casing went down a little bit farther than yesterday. So that's again Saturday. So we had to redo the process.
Oh, man.
Now we're going back down again.
It just takes a while to switch out all the drill pipe for the casings, right?
Yeah.
We'll blow this well until the water is literally clean as you could get.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Is it drinkable out of the well there?
It depends. Certain areas, no, but most times we drill, especially up here, like you could drink water shit.
It's like spring mountain water.
It's clean.
So there were some big explosions, some big water explosions. Is that just because of the change from air and water on the drill to constant air or something like?
So usually when there's a big explosion, the driller is either injecting, the mix of either the injection and the water in the ground.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is just the natural water that's in the ground.
Dominic was just telling me that you've had to go back and forth between drill pipe and casing a couple of times.
Yeah.
Would you call this a problem well?
I wouldn't call it a problem well. That's where we're at. There's so much water.
In case in the game, we can make it all back down.
There's just a lot of water movement down there causing the cave-ins?
Blocks fall in.
Wow. So you got what, like 50 or 60 feet of cave-in?
60, yeah, around there.
Is that a lot?
A lot.
Wow. So it looks like now we are pulling the third attempt to see if they could clear the collapses before having to resort to mud. All the drill tubes are going back on the carousel and on the side of the truck. They went crazy with the water and foam.
If you could just get another like 15 feet, I would be happy, because you got to get down past for your pump.
Third time is a charm. Let's keep our fingers crossed because we're going back again for casing. And so they're going to try a third time and see if we can get all the way down to 380. Let's hope that they get what they want.
My frustration was mounting. Lowering the casing piece by piece back down the bore, I was watching intently. With every new section, I held on to hope that it would keep moving unobstructed, and that would be it. The last time, the one time that stupid casing gets all the way to the bottom so we could finally move on. Every 20-foot length that disappeared into the abyss felt like an eternity. But then...
The answer to the question, was the third time a charm, is no, it was not. They are pulling casing currently from the third attempt. You can see it wiggling over there. They're trying to get it out of there. And they've brought in the mud pump machine. We're getting ready for a new process to try and clear all the debris at the bottom of this hole. More piping, more casing, more length. It's a lot. It's just a lot.
I need a lunch break. As I boiled water for my lunch, it hit me that I've got literally no idea what the mud pumping process even is or how long it's going to take. But Dominic's confidence in it has me, maybe irrationally, still hanging on to hope. He said it's
Pretty much guaranteed casing going all the way to 380.
so I'm just ready to get on with it. Dominic and the guys would talk a lot about the term circulation in relation to mud pumping methods, and initially I had no idea what they were talking about, having only just barely internalized the technical details of air, foam, and water drilling. This was obviously a whole other animal, and I couldn't quite get my head around it, but I was able to finally figure out what it meant, so hopefully I can help you get it too in a clear and concise way. Drilling with mud starts at the mud tank, where you mix bentonite clay and water. And I mean a lot of water. From there, a hose sucks up that thick slurry and pumps it to the top of the drill pipe while the bit rotates. Gravity and pressure push the mud down the pipe, where it exits the bit at the bottom and starts to fill the borehole in the space between the drill pipe and the bore walls. That's part of its job, to seal and stabilize the walls of the bore to help prevent future collapses in loose soils. As it fills that hole, the mud also carries any loose chunks of earth and rock back up to the surface, where it's pumped to the shaker screens attached above the mud tank. Those chunks get filtered out and sent to the ground off to the side, while the cleaned mud drops back into the tank, and the process repeats. A continuous cycle of drilling, circulating, and clearing debris. But the problem is, it only works if you can get circulation in the first place.
Holy, this is a whole other level. We now have the mud pumps in. Skid steer's driving around like a crazy man. That's Dominic. That is amazing. That's goat right there.
You built a pool over here for the mud to be recycled, so it's no longer running down this way.
Yeah, that's what we would call a sump pit.
Right.
Sump pump.
What, so then the mud comes back and it gets recycled back over to where?
These shaker screens.
Those shaker screens.
That's 550 gallons in
Oh.
there, and that'll be 550 gallons of mud.
The whole reason to try to keep getting down a little bit farther is some place for your pump to sit. You don't want your pump right at 320 if that's where the water's coming in. You want your pump down below.
Below that. Okay. That's so it's constantly submerged then.
Correct.
But I've had just about enough theory. Let's dig already.
So it looks like the mud pumping system is up and running. Check this out. That's goat right there. And And he's just dumping mud in the water in that big tank. He's the guy that keeps the mud flowing into that water that then gets pumped into the well. What's coming out
Is not much, actually. Disconcerting.
You can see the water coming in and water going out. This is a hole over here. They're putting fresh, clean water in here. And you can see the drill is working now. So we're pumping that down the hole. So that pump sends water back into the system. And this is the shaker that shakes the output of what's coming out of the hole so that we can tell whether or not we're clearing the collapses in the hole. This is so crazy.
After we got going again, Goat got right to it, slicing open bag after bag of bentonite and dumping it into the mud tank.
I did interview Goat earlier, and he said as a last resort, this is usually pretty effective, and he's quite confident that this will work. So that gives me hope.
But it felt like an endless stream of bags, just one after another. Turns out there was a lot more than usual because, as Dominic explained, the mud wasn't coming back up the bore like it should have.
That's a lot of mud.
Instead of circulating through the shakers like we wanted, it was just disappearing down the hole, which meant we had to keep pouring in more clay and more water to try and make up for it. Can you believe it? They couldn't get circulation. But it was late on a Friday afternoon, and it was clear this wasn't working again. So rather than keep fighting a losing battle, we decided to shut it all down, take the weekend, and take another crack at it on Monday morning. Talk about frustration. I know it's absurd, but after everything that's happened so far, it really feels like the earth is fighting us every step of the way. Saturday came and went, and Casaluna sat empty. Just me and a lot of equipment left behind till Monday. The job half finished, problems left hanging in the air. Monday morning was supposed to be our shot at a clean slate. But even now, I couldn't shake the feeling that things weren't about to get any easier. It's day 3 on the job site, and we've spent a lot of the day waiting around for water delivery because
The only thing that could really screw us up here is if we need water to make the mud.
And unfortunately, here we are in exactly that spot. They're trying to get circulation on this hole. What's happening right now is they're pumping all this mud in there and it's just disappearing. It's not coming back out. So, I mean, there's a big void down there or something. This one is the 3rd load of water up here today. The other truck, which I think is a 6,000 gallon truck, is out right now getting more water. Let's go see what's going on into this other hole over here outside the drill rig. The telltale sign is that the system is running and nothing is coming off the shaker. Still no circulation. And without even the ability to get circulation, we had only one tool left to finish this well, drilling blind. Dominic told me it's the last resort after everything else fails, and it's risky. Drilling blind is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of the drilling fluids like foam or water or mud clearing out the cuttings and keeping the hole intact, they're disappearing into the earth. It could be into fractured rock, it could be into a void, something. And without those fluids, the bore walls can collapse much more easily. The drill bit could get stuck, and worst of all, if you're Jorge, you're just guessing about what's going on in the ground. And that's why it's the last resort. If this doesn't work, the only option is abandoning the hole and starting over from scratch. But then, suddenly, seeing that trailer in motion was both a relief and a new source of tension. Knowing our last drilling weapon was spent, I hoped by some source of magic or fortune that we could dodge one more bullet. Did they get the casing in? It looks like they got it. We got a short piece of casing on there. I was like, that must have been cut because it's reached length, right?
Yeah, so you're 390.
Wow. As the drill rig finally pulled away from Casaluna, it was hard to describe the feeling. All the frustration, all the setbacks were now in the rear view. For the first time in days, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. Seeing those trucks roll down that dirt road was like watching the end of a long battle and knowing that somehow, against the odds, we'd finally won. My dream of this place was still alive, and I could finally breathe again.
When we were drilling now, essentially drilling lines, we never could get circulation. All that material went somewhere.
Where? We don't know.
We'll never know.
So now we're done. We got the liner in. So now gravel packs after that.
This is a very rare case. We sent down 24,000 gallons of very thick mud.
We got to wash it out, basically. And that's going to come up at ground level, just bubble out, and then we're going to look for as much clean water as we can get out of it.
Correct. And then tomorrow, we'll do that first thing in the morning, and then gravel pack. Once that's done, then we'll call for our seal with the
Ah, I see.
each mile after.
I'm gonna go stick my hand in this water because I want to check it out. You guys, I have to show you this. This is too cool. That is my water. We're gonna run it clean, but it's cold and fresh. I'm so blown away by this. Dust pump's already in. They seem like they don't want to be interrupted, so I'm not gonna. Well, this is good news. The guy from Valley Water was here to observe the pumping in of this concrete.
So in Santa Clara County, if you're building a house, you need to pump 2.5 gallons a minute or 3,600 gallons within a 24-hour period for your house.
Every moment of insanity for the last 3 episodes just to get a 5x5 concrete pad and a pipe sticking out of the ground. I can't believe it. That was crazy. It's official. We have water. It's drinkable. It's fresh. It's cold. It's clean. And it's running down the mountain right now. This is one of the biggest hurdles in submitting for my building site approval. And that building site approval, as you may remember, is everything that allows me to put a hole in this land and put up a house and some other stuff. Right now, I'm feeling really grateful to Gardino Drilling and that crew. I'm really grateful to the universe for putting me on this property and making it feel like my home. Emotionally, I'm in a very good place right now. It's very peaceful. I'm not wondering whether there's water under this land. I now know with certainty, and I have access to it. And I don't need anyone else's permission anymore. And that is an amazing feeling. I don't know, when I saw water coming out of the ground on Thursday, 4 days ago, that was a very emotional moment for me. There was another moment though, and that was yesterday. Electrifying for me in the sense that I reached out and I touched clean water for the first time. And that was like touching energy. It was overwhelming. I'm a little at a loss for words, which is unusual for me, to describe just how peaceful and right that felt to me. Because everything that I've been dreaming about so far depends entirely on water. And here it is.
En la imaginada grandeza, esta pequeña elevación hacia el cielo, que hemos llamado Casaluna, donde su cima emerge como una esperanza. Me arrodillo y te suplico con reverencia divina. Madre tierra, concédeme tu vigor. Permíteme transformar este agua. Extraigo de tus entrañas en el néctar sagrado, el vino que embriaga los corazones y despierta los sentidos. Que este vino sea la comunión entre lo divino y lo terrenal, el puente entre nosotros y la naturaleza. Y que cada sorbo nos recuerde que somos parte de algo más grande.